And then I saw an old vintage picture of Frosty the Snowman, and it gave me the inspiration to create a top hat. Hello everyone, it's Karen here, and welcome to the Stitch Sessions and our final installment in our Hats All Folks Crochet Series for 2025. So you will have seen this little project, our final one of the year, in our Christmas Crochet Tour. Now, if you haven't seen that video, I will leave a link to it in the description box down below. But I'm going to show you actually how I made the top hat. And I call this the Christmas top hat. I think you're really going to love it. And I'm just going to take some clips from the Christmas Crochet Tour when I talk about this hat. I hope you guys have so much fun working on it. After the intro, I'll take you through the materials you're going to need, and then we're going to get stitching up our hat in two sizes, in a full-size adult version and a small ornament version. So I hope you'll enjoy. Here we are. This is the Christmas top hat. And so I've embellished it with some ribbon and a couple little sprigs, and I think it's just gorgeous. So you can wear this. This is an adult size. I will first of all, I'm using it to kind of add a little decor to my sewing machine. That's my teeny tiny little sewing corner there. I would also use this as a centerpiece, believe it or not, on a really fun table or a table scape, maybe not for a meal, but this is super sweet and adorable, and I just love it. And I love how both sizes came out. So I just use that there to adorn my little area, and I just think it adds a little beautiful something. So I know you guys are gonna go crazy for this one because it's so quick to whip up. And then I just loved adding these little details here with the ribbon and the holly, and I just think it's so sweet. So one of my favorites, and really quick to whip up. And I love how you can kind of hide a little treat in there for your guests. Okay, so let's talk materials. Alrighty, so there are a lot of things you're going to want to gather for this project. So first of all, the yarn for what I call the life-size hat. I am using Hometown yarn by Lion Brand, and I have it in this nice cushy white. It is considered a super bulky number 6 yarn. It is acrylic, and it's got a nice thickness to it, which is going to give you a nice weight for your hat. So 1 skein should be perfect for the life-size hat. If you are making the ornament version like this, I just had some leftover yarn here. This was the Cotton Fair yarn from Premier, and they still make it. I just think the skeins look a little bit different, but this is probably, I'll put a graphic up on the screen. I think it's considered a fine weight yarn. It might be a number 2 yarn. Okay, and then the hook size I'm going to be using is a 6.5 millimeter hook, which is known as a K or a 10.5 for the life size. So for the super bulky yarn, this is the hook I'm going to be using. If you're doing the ornament size yarn, I used a 3.75 millimeter hook, which is also known as an F or a size 5, if you can read that. I have also experimented with a size 4. So you can do a 3.75 or a size 4. I wouldn't go any larger than that if you really want to kind of maintain this smaller size. Okay, so let's talk about the other things you're going to need. Of course, you're going to need a yarn needle to weave in your ends. I want you to notice this is quite a large needle with a large eye, okay? And that's because if you're using this super bulky yarn, you're going to want something that's going to be able to go through, okay? And of course, you want a handy pair of scissors to snip your yarn and a variety of other things. Now, for the accessories, you will also need some ribbon. So you want the ribbon that's going to run around the perimeter of your hat. So for the ornament size, I use my tried and true satin ribbon here. I got this off of Amazon like years ago. There's so much in here and it's lasts me forever. I can do all kinds of crafts. And it is a 1/4 inch in width, and it comes in 100 yards. This was like such a great purchase because I've used it for so many things and I still have so much here. So I will leave a link to that in the description box down below for easy retrieval if you are interested in using this ribbon. Otherwise, I've just found a whole bunch of leftover ribbon lying around. Like here's another fun satin ribbon. It's a little thicker and it's green on one side and red on the other. I think this would work out perfect for the adult size hat or life size. I'm still not sure how thick I want the ribbon. I also went to the dollar store and got some of this ribbon as well as this. So you can see, well, this one's actually pretty comparable. But see, this one's not quite as thick, but it's definitely thicker than that thin one. So you might want to experiment with that. You won't need a lot. You just want to go around your hat once. But so you want to have some ribbon on hand. And if you've got some in your stash, then you can kind of play around with that. You'll also need a little bit of embellishment. Like here, we've got the little holly here. So I just picked this up actually at Michael's. I came across this. So these are little stickers, and you can see by the size of my thumb, they're pretty small. Now it was $6. It wasn't cheap, but you know, you get 12 in here and you can make several of these ornaments. So, you know, it's still pretty good. And I just loved how quick and easy this was. And you just kind of peel it off on the back and you stick it on your item. You can, of course, hot glue this to secure it, but it's been pretty good. I haven't had any issues with it, okay? For the life-size hat, you might want to pick up some kind of little pick or holiday kind of accessory. I picked this up, I believe it was at the dollar store many, many years ago. So I've used this as part of my decor, but I've got several of these, so I can spare one of these. And you know, Frosty always had a little bit of greenery on his top hat. So that's what made me think of that for the life-size hat. And I found a couple little like add-on poinsettias that I think I've used for gifts and things like that. So I'm going to combine that with my red ribbon on top of the hat, and I think that's going to look super, super cute. So some things to think about if you want to really embellish your hat or keep it simple, totally up to you. And by the way, one last thing. Inside the ornament hat, you can see I've got a little bit of cardboard in here. This is just a little bit of toilet paper roll. And I just put it in there because it just gives it a little bit of nice structure. And I really love how that turned out. So if you can, start saving up a couple of your toilet paper rolls. I've got a bunch of these always on hand because I never know what kind of crafty things these are going to assist with. Actually, this one's really good. It's got some nice stiffness to it. So you can probably get, well, you might even be able to get 4. You'll get about 3 cuts out of this, so 3 little ornaments. If you wanted to, you know, stretch it, you could probably make 4. You'll probably get 4 out of these. And then you just insert it on the inside just to give it a little bit of structure. Oh, I think I might have glued it too. I think I put a little bit of glue here for the ribbon. But yeah, you just cut it and then put it on the inside and you are good to go. So whether you're doing it as a tabletop ornament or if you're going to add a little bit of a hanger at the top and make it a Christmas tree ornament, this isn't going anywhere. And it'll give it a little bit of structure. All right, so that's a lot of stuff to gather together. So depending on the size that you're making, you now know what you need to get together. And now we're ready to start stitching up our top hat. Okay, so I'm going to begin by showing you with the thicker yarn, obviously, to show you how I'm working the adult size hat. So if you want to make it for a cute little ornament like this, you would obviously start with something thinner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pink yarn here and I'm going to show you how the difference in the stitch, right? Okay, so with this yarn here, I'm going to use a 4.5 millimeter hook. And so what you're going to do is create a cinch circle, pull up a loop, and chain 2. 1 and 2. Now this chain 2 is not going to count as anything. We're just using it to give us a little bit of height. Sometimes I will chain 3, depending on the project. Now I want these 2 stitches to really be hidden and forgotten, so I'm only doing 2 chains. So what we're going to do is we're going to work a double crochet into the cinch circle. So we're just crocheting a circle, following the same basic principles of a circle. So we have a double crochet, and we want to go into that circle a total of 12 times. And remember that chain 2 will get ignored, okay? So you're going to keep going until you have 12 double crochets into your circle. So that is if you're working this cute little ornament size, okay? Now, if you're working the adult hat like I am, you're going to pick up that bulky yarn with your 6.5 millimeter hook. It's going to be similar, but I'm using a different stitch than the double crochet, okay? So just wanted to kind of show you guys that depending on the sizing you're making. So I'm going to create a cinch circle. I'm going to pull up a loop, and I'm only going to chain 1, okay? And I just take that tail out. Now for this size, I'm going to be using half double crochet stitches. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to insert into the circle and pull up a loop, and then I'm going to pull through all 3. So that's the half double crochet. And now for this size, I am going to be placing 8 half double crochets in total into the circle. Okay, so we've got 2, 3, okay, and I'm going to keep going until I have 8. So for the large size, it's 8 half double crochets. For the smaller size, it's going to be 12 double crochets. Okay, so I've completed 8 half double crochets, and now I'm going to take that tail and I'm going to cinch it shut. Okay, so that's going to create the center of the top portion of our hat. Okay, so now what we want to do is find the very first stitch. Remember, the chain 1 for us didn't count as anything, and we're going to slip stitch to join. So round 1 is complete, and we've got 8 stitches in round 1 of the human size, so of the adult size. Now for the ornament size, I've cinched my circle shut, and there's my 12. So you can definitely see the difference in the circle. Even though this one is 12 stitches, it's still smaller than this one of 8 stitches because it's a finer weight yarn. Okay, so what we're going to do is for this size, we're going to do one more round to create a slightly larger circle, to just expand the circle a little bit. And so for this round, and I'll show you here, it's going to be the same for this one. I think it might be easier to see with the pink yarn. So here, when I begin the next round, I will chain 2 again. And now I'm going to go into this next stitch right here, and I'm going to place 2 double crochets. So we have 1 and we have 2. So that's an increased stitch. That means we've increased the number of stitches. And so that's what we're going to do all the way around. Into each stitch, we are going to place 2 double crochets. Oops. And so at the end of round number 2, you will have 24 stitches. Now you might get up to here and go, oh my goodness, I only have 22 stitches. That's because after the chain 2, we went directly into the next stitch. So don't be afraid to add those last 2 stitches as close as possible to the chain 2, because we are ignoring that chain 2, okay? So once you get close to the end, if you're ever unsure, just count backwards. And if you've got your 24, perfect. You're then going to slip stitch to join to the top of that first stitch, and the top of your ornament hat will be complete, okay? So for this size, you will need 24 double crochet stitches, okay? For our adult size, you will end up having 16 stitches because, of course, our initial count is 8. So here you're only going to chain 1, and you're going to find your way. Actually, I'm going to go into the very first stitch here since I can see it nicely. And I'm going to half double crochet 2 into that same stitch. Just like that. So 1 and 2. Okay. And then I go into the next stitch and I do the same thing. 1 and 2. Okay, so I think you get the gist. So at the end of round number 2, we're going to have 16 stitches. Okay, so whatever size you're working on, go ahead all the way around and finish round number 2. Okay, so I'm just slip stitching to join here. So round number 2 is complete, and I love how you can really feel it has some structure to this yarn. So I have 16 stitches in round number 2, okay? And so at the end of round number 2 here, I have 24 stitches. Again, these are double crochets. And even this yarn that's pretty thin, you can see it's almost a little bit bigger than the top of this here, but we're going to stop here. This is the perfect size. At the end of the day, for me personally, like black is the color to do it in. It just looks so Christmassy. But of course on camera, black never works. It's hard to see. And I want to make sure you guys understand where you're placing your hook and how to create your stitches. So just love that. So basically, if you are making the ornament size, I'm going to leave it here because I am going to go on and work up more rounds for the adult size. So what I'll do, if you're just interested in making the ornament size, in the description box, there's a timestamp where you can go right ahead and skip to the next portion where we're going to create the body of the hat. So we're going to work downward, okay? And if you are working on the adult size, or the human size, we'll say, because you could make this for a teen or a child, then you're going to continue along with me for a few more rounds because we want to create that nice top part of the top hat. Now, what I'm going to do, because this is white yarn on white background, I'm going to change my background so that it's a contrasting color just to help you guys see it a little bit more clearly. Okay, so here we are. We're going to go on to round number 3. And again, this is for the adult size hat. So you will chain 1. We're going to continue with our increases because we need to get to a diameter of between 7 to 7.5 inches for my size. So we are now going to go back into that same stitch and we're going to place 1 half double crochet. But now into the next stitch, we are going to place 2 half double crochets. So we are now going to place an increase into every second stitch. Okay, so I went back into that same stitch. So into the next one, I place 1 half double crochet, and into the next stitch, I will place 2 half double crochets. So I have 1, and there is the second one. Okay, so the pattern for round number 3 is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, all the way around. So at the end of round number 3, you will have a total of 24 stitches. Okay, so I have 24 stitches, and now I just want to slip stitch into the very first stitch. So remember, we ignore the chain 1, and we slip stitch into the top of the actual half double crochet. Got a little bit splitty here. Okay, so round 3 is complete. So now we're going to go on to round number 4. And again, we're continuing our increases. So we chained 1. Now this time we are going to place an increase into every third stitch. So you would yarn over and you're going to go into the next stitch this time. And you're going to place 1 half double crochet. You're going to go into the next one. You're going to place the second half double crochet. And now into the third one, you're going to place an increase. So we have 1, and then you're going to put a second one right back into that same stitch. Okay, so for round number 4, the repeat is going to be 1, 1, then 2. 1, 1, and 2. So you're going to go all the way around. Now you'll notice this time that I did not go right back into the very first stitch, and I only do that on every other round, and I find that that helps to kind of make the seam disappear, because a lot of times you can see the joining seam in a circle. So I alternate that. So what will happen is when you get back to the beginning, you will place 1, 1, and then here you're going to place your last increase. So again, you are ignoring that chain 1, and you place the last increase, which is 2 stitches there, and then you slip stitch to join. Okay, so at the end of round number 4, you are going to have 32 stitches. Okay, so hopefully that made sense about the end. So do that all the way around, and then we'll go on to round number 5. Okay, so round number 4 is complete, and you should now have 32 stitches. So I'm going to do one more round with you, and then I am going to set you loose because I hope that you can see what's happening in the pattern. With every round, the number of stitches in between our increases, or increased stitches, is increasing. So in this round we just finished, we had 2 individual stitches and then an increase, 2 and an increase. In the round before, there was only 1 stitch in between each increase. So if there was 2 in the previous round, in round number 5, we are now going to do 3 individual stitches before the increase. So hopefully that makes sense. And then in the next round, it would be 4 individual stitches and then an increase. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's get you started on round number 5. So as usual, you chain 1. And this time I'm going to go right back into the very first stitch, and I'm going to half double crochet. So that's 1. So remember, in this round we're increasing in every 4th stitch. So then we go into the next one. That's our second individual stitch, and then we go into the 3rd stitch. So we now have 3 individual stitches, and into the 4th is where we're going to place our increase. So we have 1 half double crochet, and then the second one goes right back into the same spot. So for round number 5, your pattern is going to be 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 2. Okay, and you'll do that all the way around. At the end of round number 5, you should have 40 stitches. Okay, and so what I'm going to do here, I am going to set you loose to do round 6, 7, 8 until you get to the number of rounds that is appropriate for you. I am going to leave a little bit of text here on the side. Actually, I'm going to leave it right here. Just kind of giving you guys a hint as to how many stitches you should have at the end of every round. So round 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. I'm just using those numbers as random. Okay, so how many stitches you have at the end of each round and into which stitch the increase will happen. So just kind of a little bit of a cheat sheet for you, just in case you're still grasping with the method that we're using here. So just press pause. This is more for those of you that are a little bit newer to crochet, of course. Just press pause and then refer to the text, and it will kind of guide you through. So we want to go until we reach the diameter for our particular size. Now, I would always go more to the larger size than the smaller size. So if your diameter should be between 7 and 7.5, I would go all the way to 7.5 inches. And you'll see why, because we don't want it to sit snug on our head. We want to create a little bit of space to get that nice kind of boxy top hat look. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, once we're done the top here, then I will kind of show it to you in a bit further detail. But for now, continue with your rounds until you get your desired diameter, and then I'll meet back up with you here shortly. Okay, so I have finished the top of my hat, and I think I've actually gone a little bit over, so let me see. Actually, I went up to 8 inches, which might be a little wide, but that's okay. So if you're anywhere between 7 and 8 for the full adult size, I think you're going to be good. It'll just make it sit a little bit more comfortable on the top of your head. So now we are ready to now create the height of our hat. So at this point in time, I'm going to take you through the large size, and then I will also do it on the small size. Okay, so what we want to do is we no longer want to increase. And by the way, I've completed a total of 8 rounds for my adult size hat. So that should give you a total of 64 stitches all the way around. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to chain 1 as before. And we are just going to place 1 stitch into every stitch all the way around with one little difference. So you're going to yarn over, and instead of going in through the full stitch, we are going to go into the back bottom loop. So this is the front loop, that's the back loop. And if you turn it towards you, you have another loop here on the bottom. So that's what I'm going to work into here. So I'm just going to skip over this stitch where we slip stitched, and I'm going to insert my hook in through the back bottom loop and finish my half double crochet as usual. Okay, so again, I'm going to find the back bottom loop right there and half double crochet. So the thing is with the half double crochet stitch, it creates several loops. So you've got your front loop, your back loop, and then when you turn it over, there's a third loop on the back, okay? And if it was facing you, it would be the third loop would be the front bottom loop. So because it is not, it's facing away from us, it's the back bottom loop. So that is all you're going to do all the way around is 1 half double crochet into the back bottom loop. Okay, and so as you go along, hopefully you can see, it's just forming a little bit of a defined ridge, which is what we want for our hat. Okay, so you're going to do that all the way around. Now I'm going to show you as well in the smaller size. Okay, so in the smaller size, we had 24 stitches. Now with this one, what we're going to do is we're just going to work into the back loop. Just keep it nice and simple. And now we are going to use our half double crochets. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, and all you're going to do is you're going to insert your hook into the same stitch right there that you slip stitched into and go into the back loop only. You may need to help it a little bit. Okay, just like that. And then you finish your half double crochet. Okay, and that's what you're going to do all the way around for the small version. So it's the same technique, and in fact, we're using the same stitch. Okay, so at the end of this one, you will still have 24 stitches, and the big hat, you will still have 64 stitches. Okay, so I'm just doing a few. So you can see it's creating a little bit of a ridge as well. Slightly more subtle, but the same effect. So you're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so I'm just coming up to the end of this round, and I just wanted to show you guys how to join, because remember, we started working in the next stitch and we skipped the one we slip stitched into. So the last stitch, I'm going to work into the back bottom loop. I'm even going to borrow this loop here. Okay, because we're going to ignore that chain 1. So this is now our last half double crochet. I'm going to skip over this chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch to join at the top of that first official half double crochet. Okay, so you have something that looks like that, and you can see a little bit where it came out, but you can just treat that as the back seam. Okay, so now you have a definite ridge. You can see that it's curling up, and so when you turn it over, that's going to be the top of the hat. This is now the side of the hat coming down. So you are now going to continue to work this in as many rounds as you need until you reach the height of your hat. Okay, now there are many different types of top hats, and so there can be some controversy as to how tall to make your hat. But when I looked up the average heights of top hats, you're looking at anywhere between 5 to 6 inches in height. Again, if you look up the different types of top hats, some of them can be quite tall, even as high as 7 or 8 inches. So what I'm going to do for the life size hat is I'm going to go until about 6 inches. And then I'm going to see how I like it. Maybe I'm going to try it on and see how I like the height, and then take it from there. If I feel that I need more rounds, then I'll just build up more rounds. Otherwise, I'll be happy with that. Now, for the ornament size, I just did a total of 4 rounds here using the half double crochet stitches. And I know the black yarn you cannot see. So if I show you the first round here in the finer weight yarn, so you can see the little ridge there, and now you can see how it's curled up? So that is going to be the body of our hat. So for the ornament size, I would do a total of 4 rounds. If you want a size that's just like this one. Okay, so if you're doing the ornament, you only have 3 more rounds to go. If you're doing the life size, you've got several more rounds to go. So I'm going to set you loose to do that. And then I'm going to meet back up with you. And at that point, we're going to be ready to just create our brim. Okay, guys, so this is what the top part of my hat looks like. So I've got quite a bit of depth. And just to show you guys, mine is about 4 inches. And so I've already tried it on. It actually is a bit taller than I thought, but for a top hat, this is perfecto for me. So it's about 4 inches, which is just a little over 10 centimeters. Okay, so now it is time to work the brim. So now you can see it sits up on its own, which is really great. And then my little one, if I grab that over here, you can see it's got the same effect. So because it's such a floppy yarn, it tends to want to bubble up. But that's when we put the little bit of cardboard on the inside, and that'll work out great. So for both of these, we're now going to be ready to start our brim. So we're going to start with this big one here. So now what we want to do is remember where we left off with our increases. So before we stopped increasing, we were placing an increase into every 7th stitch. So for our brim, we're going to pick up where we left off, and now we're going to increase into every 8th stitch. Oh, and by the way, I've done a total of 8 rounds with no increases. So we had 8 rounds at the top that I finished and 8 rounds here. So that gives us a total of 16 rounds. So my brim is now going to be round 17. So we're going to begin, as usual, with a chain 1. Okay. And I'm going to do a similar technique that I did over here. I really want kind of each section to be nicely defined. So we are going to go back and we're going to work into the bottom back loops. And so we are going to place a half double crochet. We're just going to turn our work and go into the back bottom loop. Can be a little tricky to see there. There we go. Now you don't have to do this. You can go absolutely directly into the stitch. I just want to create a little bit of definition. So we've got 1. Now I'm going to continue and do a total of 7 half double crochets, and then I'm going to increase into the 8th. Okay, so I have completed 7 half double crochets, and now into the 8th, I'm going to place my increase. So this is what should cause our brim to start to flare out. Okay, so in this round, you're going to do 7 half double crochets, increase, 7 increase, 7 increase, all the way around. Okay, now let's go into our ornament size hat for those of you that are following along with that size. Okay, so we've got our ornament sized hat. We've finished our 4 rounds of half double crochets. So we've got a total of 6 rounds. So our brim here is going to be round number 7 is where we're going to begin. Now, the last time we increased, we placed 2 stitches into every stitch. And we currently still have 24 stitches, okay? So now when we begin our brim and start to increase again, we are going to place an increase into every 2nd stitch. So we're going to work our way back up to double crochet. So I'm just going to chain 2 here. This one won't count as anything. And so we are going to go right back into the same stitch, and we are going to double crochet. So we have 1 double crochet, and then into the next one is where we're going to place our increase. So we place 2 stitches into 1. Okay, into the next stitch we place 1, and then, whoops, got a little knot there. And then into the next stitch we place our increase, which is 2 double crochets. Okay, so you can already see, look at how it's flaring out. Oops, let me just get into the light there. So you can see it already wants to flare out. So that is going to be the repeat for the ornament size is 1 double crochet and then 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, all the way around. And then at the end of round number 7, you should have a nice flared out brim, and you should have a total of 36 stitches. Okay guys, so I have finished my first round of my brim, so that's round number 17 in total. So right now it just created this nice little ridge there, and I just like that as a separation. So now you can see the hat kind of stays nice and tall there, and this, which is still in the early stages, is starting to flare out. So we just want to keep doing more rounds of increases so that it helps to flare out the hat, okay? So exactly like we did here in the little one. So I'm going to show you the next round here, and then I'm going to hop on over to our little one here and show you that the brim for this one is done. Okay, so first let's talk about our larger size. So we know in the previous round we were increasing into every 8th stitch. So in this round we're going to increase into every 9th stitch. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to prevent my brim from having these little pointed edges here, and that happens when the increases stack one on top of the other. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start my round. I've chained 1. And I am going to go into the next stitch here, and I'm going to work 4 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now into the next stitch, I will do my increase. And what that'll do is that'll keep it away from stacking it on top of the other increase. So into this stitch here, I am going to place 2 half double crochets like that. And now I will count my regular 8. Okay, so I've got 4 here. At the end of my round, I will have 4 stitches left, which is perfect because then that'll give me my 8 at the end. So I've done my increase, and now I'm just going to half double crochet 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, and now into the 9th stitch, I will place an increase again. Okay, and that is going to be your repeat for round number 18. So there's my increase. Okay, so my increase was here. Did I do an increase? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoops. I did not do the increase in the same stitch. Naughty girl. Okay, there we go. So it's going to be 8 stitches, increase, 8 stitches, increase. So now you can see it's staying nice and rounded. So that is what we want to do. And you can see a little bit from here. Now you can see it's really starting to flare out, which is exactly what we want. So you would continue in this fashion for a few rounds until you get the flare that you want. Now a top hat, now depending on the type of top hat, because there's a variety of different types of top hats, which I have come to learn, you don't need that much of a flare out. So I am going to work this round. I'm going to suss out the situation, and then I'm going to come back. I may do another round or even 2 and then stop there. Okay, so just enough to give it a flare out. So if we talk about our ornament size, you'll see here, and I'm not sure you can tell in the black, but I only did 1 round to flare out, and that for me was perfect. So just like in ours here, 1 round was plenty, okay? So Actually, I should fasten off. I had exactly just this much left, which was perfect. And so I'm going to snip my yarn just like that, and then fasten off. And then I'll weave in that end. Okay. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add a little bit of structure on the inside, which you can see I've already gone ahead and done. So I just take a toilet paper roll, and I have found that divvying it up in thirds is a good size. Okay. So this is about, let me see the height here. So these little hats are, yeah, they're about an inch in height. Let me see if this one's exactly the same. This one's about an inch and an eighth and a quarter. This yarn is slightly, not thicker, but it's got more sustenance to it. This one is much softer and so does not work up as high, but roughly the same size, just like that. Okay, so cutting up your toilet paper roll into thirds, I think will work out great. So give or take an inch. So I just kind of eyeball it. And this one's a good one because it's nice and stiff, but I do have to squish it a little bit just to cut it straight across. Oh, you actually might even get 4 out of this one. Okay, and that's all you're doing, right? And then you kind of just, you know, fluff it up a little bit, I call it, and then you place it on the inside, and look at that. See, it just gives it a little bit of structure. I probably could have snipped this one a little bit shorter, actually. Let me just make sure it's in the right spot. There we go. Yeah, this one I could have clipped shorter. This one, yeah, this one's better. So, you know, trial and error. There we go. So you want it to sit right on the inside of that brim, and look at how nicely that sits flat. And now you're just ready for the finishing touches. So if you just wanted to work up this size, you can now move on to placing the ribbon. So I'll talk about that now. And those of you that are doing the regular size, go ahead and finish your next round. And all I'm going to do here for this one, because you're going to do the same thing with the larger one, is I'm just going to bring this ribbon around, and I'm just going to snip it right about here. And this is like leftover ribbon from garments. You know when you get that ribbon on the inside to hang? I like to keep all of these. There we go. That's a bit better. So I'm going to just take some of my glue here. Okay. Sometimes this can get a little messy. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my glue here. I have to kind of reach right down into the bottom. I love this glue because it dries clear. You don't need a lot. Okay, so I just place this around where I want it to stay, and I'm going to make this the back. Just like that. It can be a little finicky. So just make sure to overlap them. And then I put a touch of glue there. And by the way, if you have hot glue, that probably makes life a lot easier too. I just put it in there, and that's it. You don't need a lot. And actually, I avoided all the mess, which is great. So it's nice and even there. Now, because it's in pink, it doesn't really look like much of a Christmassy hat, but I thought the white ribbon looked nice. And then, and I know it's distracting, I haven't woven in this tail, and this is actually a bit long. Let me just shorten that a bit. There we go. Okay, and then the final touch is our cute little holly stickers here. Just like that. So I'm just going to carefully peel one off. Oh, uh-oh. What did I do there? Did I peel off the sticky bit? There we go. I was taking the sticky bit with it. Okay, so that is the back, and I want to place this on the front just just right about there. Oh my goodness, that looks adorable. Look at how cute that is. That is the final touch, I'm telling you. That's what makes this so sweet. Oh, you know what? Shoot, I did it too close to the back. Let me see if I can undo this. Not good, no bueno. Do not do what I just did. I have to pay attention. I want this right on the back, like that. And hopefully it still has some stick to it. Otherwise, I'll just put some glue on it as well. There we go. Just give it a good press. Oh my goodness, just adorable. Look at these guys. So if you are working on the ornament sized one, your job is now complete. And if you want to make a whole bunch of these, you are off to the races. I still prefer mine in black, I have to be honest. With the red and the green trim, I just think it's quintessential Christmas. But you know what? You can get really creative with all different kinds of colors. I would really recommend, actually, this cotton fair yarn works beautifully. I think Premier still does make it, although I haven't seen it at Michael's. This is where I used to see it. I will double check that. And if I can find a place, I'll leave a link for it. But this is basically like a lightweight number 3 yarn, I think would be your absolute best bet for creating these little guys. And of course, if you want to make a hanger, you just poke it up through the center here. And you can just put a little piece of yarn through there and you can hang it. Now, those of you that have seen my Christmas crochet tour, you will have seen that I use these as part of my dinner tablescape. So you can use these in all different kinds of ways. You might even put this on a figurine or something like that. I think it would be really, really sweet. Okay, so for those of you that have done the ornament size, you are done. You can create a whole bunch more. And those of you that are working on the adult size, we just have a couple more rounds. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and show you what I've got so far. Okay, so I just finished round 18, and you can see it's really flaring out now. I'm debating whether or not to stop or add one more round, and I think I will. So it's gotten some nice structure to it, but I would not be opposed to even getting a bit of cardstock and lining it on the inside, just like we did with the ornament hat. Now, if you're going to wear it and you're happy with it kind of sinking in a bit, that's fine. Or if you plan on using it for some table decor, I think the cardstock will be the way to go because it'll give it some definite structure. And I think, I think I am actually going to leave it. I don't think I'm going to do another round. So I did 2 rounds of the brim. And so I have a total of 18 rounds. So what I'm going to do now is I am just going to snip off my yarn here, and I'm going to weave in this end, and I'm going to show you guys how I like to do my little invisible join there. So just pull that up like that, and then I'm going to thread my needle here. And so what I do is, instead of using my crochet hook, I just use my yarn needle and I go under that stitch there and I just pull it snug, not too tight. And then I come back in and I go in through the top of this stitch here. If I can, I try to go down a bit to catch another loop. Okay, so then when I pull that, it just disappears beautifully. Look at that. You can't even tell where the join is. So just be careful. If you pull it too tight, then it's going to get a bit too snug. And then all I do here is I just hide my tail. So I'm just weaving in the ends here. So I just want it to disappear into the stitches here in the back. Okay, again, be careful that you don't pull too much at this stage because then that stitch will pull in. Look at that. Can't even see it. So I'm just going to do a few more of these little back and forth weave-ins, and the basic structure of the hat is done. The next thing we'll do is we will add our embellishments just like we did with the ornament. Okay guys, so I have done all of my weaving in, and now I'm just gathering my little pieces of embellishment here. And so I thought I would just kind of take a strip. I love this ribbon. I just think it's quintessential traditional Christmas. I thought I was just going to do a strip and glue it like I did with the ornament, but then I was playing with it, and first of all, this thickness is too thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to bend it in half, and I found that that was actually quite nice. Okay, I've got a little sprig of something here. I just think that looks adorable. But what I was playing around with is I took out that little poinsettia that I had attached to this, and I kind of made a small bow here, and that's what I think I'm going to go with. So I'm just going to show you my idea. So I'm really just going to keep this nice and simple. I'm just folding this in half, and I would say, let me just see what the actual measurement is, because the packages from the dollar store don't always say so. So when I fold it in half, it's about, yeah, it's an inch. So I would say this is a 2-inch wide ribbon. So I'm just going to manipulate it so that it sits nicely halved. It's got a little bit of wire through it, so it does help. And then just pay attention to where I want my back to be. So it's going to be where that seam is. You can barely see it, but it is there. So I'm going to turn that to the back. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to wrap the ribbon around here. And I kind of want it to fall on this side. Oh my goodness, that is looking way too cute. Okay, and then I'm going to tie a knot. Oh, let me even this out a bit. I want to make sure that this end. So I basically just I measured the circumference, and then I added probably another foot on each side there. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm gently going to tie a bow. Okay, I don't want to pull it too tight because it's going to squeeze the top of my hat in. So I'm just going to do something like that. You can then secure this with hot glue if you really want to, but I'm just going to leave it like that. And now, of course, this is the moment of truth because I am terrible at doing Christmas bows. So now I am going to open it up to the full 2-inch width, and I'm just going to bend each side and crisscross it like that. And then I'm just going to smush it down. Okay, so I'm just manipulating it so it gets smushed down. And then I take this little poinsettia because it's got two little kind of wire ends here. And I'm actually just going to sneak it under. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. And then the wire comes up from behind. And then I wrap it around the portion that I pinched. And you will have to play with this. Hopefully I can get it so that it sits nicely. Oh, maybe it's going to work. There we go. So it's kind of smushed. And then I'm just going to fix the little bow so it sits nice and pretty. Oh my goodness, I love that. Look at how cute that is. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim, and I always like to do this trim on an angle like that. Beautiful. Okay, so then I'm going to trim this one here. Whoops, this one is still too long. Let's do that again. Because I don't want this tail to be too long. There we go. Oh my goodness, look at that. So this on its own looks absolutely adorable. So I'd wear it a little bit on the side there. And if I were wearing it, I would probably just leave it like this. If I were using it for a tablescape, I probably will add this little sprig in. Of course, you can cut that down a little bit. I just want to see what it would look like. So I'm going to hide it in behind the ribbon here. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'll try and zoom in. So just nestle it behind. Oh my goodness, that is adorable. Oh my goodness, I get so excited over these things. Wow, guys, that's it. That is the Christmas top hat. This totally reminds me of something like you would put on Frosty's head. And I just absolutely love it. And there you have the last installment in our Hats All Folks Crochet series. We're ending off with a quintessential Christmas top hat. And of course, you can make this for any occasion, but I just thought it was so appropriate to do it for Christmas, especially since it reminds me so much of Frosty the Snowman. So what do you guys think? Is this actually easier than you thought it was going to be? Like basically, once we crochet the circle in the top, we just create the body and then flare out the brim. And there you have it. So I really, really hope that you enjoyed this finale in our crochet series. And if you have any questions about this at all, make sure to leave it for me in the comment box down below. And you can also send me an email directly, of course. I know many of you like to do that. So you can send it to me at info@crochetcrafty.com. And as always, make sure to attach a photo of your work so I can have a closer look and be able to better help you out with any situations. So now, when you crochet your hat, please, please, please do tag me. I want to see what colors you chose, what embellishments that you chose. I think we all love it when we can get inspiration from each other. So make sure to do that. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at the Stitch Session. So make sure to stop over and say hello. And as always, pop over to the Crochet Crafty website. That's the website that's affiliated with the Stitch Sessions channel. There's a lot of great resource tools there for you with like sizing charts for garments, templates, planning checklists, free written patterns, as well as a link to my Etsy shop. So make sure to check that out. Now, there's more in store for you for the rest of this month. We will be doing a year in review, and I'll reveal to you kind of what my favorite Hats All Folks project was for this year, 2025. And by the way, if you're new here and you've missed the first, 11 installments, there will be a link down below to the playlist, which is called Hats All Folks Crochet Series 2025. And then there'll be another video coming out probably closer to the end of the month, all to do with the sneak peek for 2026. Because around this time, people start asking me, well, what are you planning to do for next year's series? So that's already also underway. So make sure to stick closely to the channel throughout the month of December. As we get closer to the end of the year, lots of extra fun little bonus videos coming up. And I hope you've enjoyed the ones we've done so far for the holidays. I'm having so much fun this year. There's so many. I've got my kind of Crojo back. Sometimes we lose our inspiration a little bit, but I've got it back. So I've got lots of fun things happening, more fun projects coming your way, and I just love hanging out with you guys. And remember, if you are new here and you had fun with us, I invite you to press that subscribe button and come hang out with me. I upload a brand new video every Wednesday morning. And throughout the month of December, there may be a couple of bonus ones coming your way too. So that being said, guys, I hope you have an amazing day. Happy holiday crocheting. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.